Hey guys, Pete here. This is my top moments recap for Twin Peaks Season 3, Episode 15. I really enjoyed this episode. There were a lot of payoffs for things that I wanted to see. I'm not sure what the general consensus is, but I thought it was pretty good all the way around, and it sets things up pretty good going into the last 3 episodes. So a quick spoiler warning, if you haven't watched episode 15 yet, then you're not going to want to watch this video. And with that, let's jump right in. Of course, the first big moment was Nadine telling Ed she wants him to be free. Now, I think what's really funny about this is that at no time during this sequence, and it wasn't short, I mean, it was probably 10 minutes long, I suppose, did I feel like it was actually going to work out. We saw the looks on Ed's face at the gas farm. He gets to the double R and Norma can't talk at first. And it has a really strange feeling. And then we see him agonizing there. The music is perfect inside the double R. Otis Redding, just fantastic. And then as he's there, after he asks for a cyanide capsule, we see her hand on his shoulder, and man, it was pretty good. He asks her to marry him, she says yes, and the world didn't explode right then, because I was still not really sure that it was all going to work out, but it was a great payoff for the old connection to the old series, and they really kind of threw us for a loop by saying that they didn't get together in the secret history and sort of changing things up a little bit. And it looks like Dr. Jacoby's conversation and all of his ranting on YouTube or whatever he does actually did have a purpose, and that was for Nadine to realize she needed to let him go, and Big Ed finally getting to be with Norma. The next big moment was Evil Coop's arrival at the convenience store. It was the exact convenience store that we saw way back during the Trinity test. He arrives and he goes upstairs, which I thought was pretty cool because we all noticed that there were stairs, but they didn't look like there was anything like a second floor in the convenience store. But of course, you just disappear into thin air and end up inside instead. A lot of crazy stuff going on in here. First, we see that wallpaper. Then he approaches a woodsman who is sitting there drooling black liquid, and that could be related to Billy or the drunk in the jail. But he tells me he wants to see Jeffries. He does something with electricity, flips a switch or something along those lines. And we get the shot of the jumping man, which we've all been waiting for. And then another woodsman comes and brings him down in the direction of another staircase. And as he moves, we see trees. And like I said, the whole thing was just pretty fantastic. After they go upstairs, we see that Jeffries is there, but he's more like a teapot combined with that thing we saw in the Giant's house or the mob zone area where Nido jumps off the edge. So not exactly sure what he is. We do get a introduction of a new character here who unlocks the door for him, unlocks the door for Evil Coop, but we don't really get a good idea of who she is. After arriving where Phillip Jeffries is, Evil Coop pretty much instantly asks him about Judy, who Judy is, why he doesn't want to talk about Judy. And we find out a couple things right here. One, he says, you're still Cooper, or you are Cooper, he says, is I think the exact way he said it. And he also says that he has already met Judy. Now, none of this really makes sense on the surface. Does he mean that you still have some Cooper in you? And did he mean that Evil Coop has met Judy? Or did he mean that either one of them at some time had met Judy? So yes, it wasn't really clear, but we did get some interesting stuff. Cooper got a number, Evil Coop got a number, and again, I couldn't tell if this was a number for... We didn't see a whole telephone number, I don't think. But then when he's outside, he instantly texts that Las Vegas text that we saw Diane receive before, so I wasn't sure if that was insinuating that he was using the number that Phillip Jeffries just gave him or what. But it was the evolution of Jeffries, I guess you could say, since David Bowie passed on. It was a voice actor, but it was a good job. I mean, we had the spirit of the character Phillip Jeffries for sure, but we're going to have to see how all that stuff plays out. As they are finishing up their conversation, a phone begins to ring, and eventually Evil Coop answers it after Jeffries disappears. That sends him outside where Richard Horne is waiting for him. After kicking his ass a little bit and taking his gun and telling him not to threaten him anymore, we find out that Audrey is in fact Richard's mother. We also find out that she had a picture of Agent Cooper in her stuff, which could mean that, well, it could mean a lot of things. Let's leave it at that for now, but when they got in the car, it sure felt like it was a father and son. He says, we'll talk on the ride, and it sort of felt like it was making us think, at least, that Richard had just met his dad. Before we move on to the next big moment, I guess it's worth noting that the convenience store seems to move around. After they leave, it pretty much disappeared, so that could come in later to be important. After that, the next big moment was not Stephen killing himself, although that was a moment, don't get me wrong. The next big moment for me was seeing Mark Frost being the dog walking guy, and that was super cool. He is playing his old character, Cyril Pons, the weatherman from season 1, but we don't get any more backstory on him. He did go to tell Carl Rod what he saw, but we don't know if he actually lives at the trailer park at the Fat Trout or not. It kind of seemed like it. But yeah, the next big moment was, I think we found out that Stephen probably killed Becky, although it's not 100% clear because he was so drugged out, it was a little bit hard to piece things together, but I feel like that's what he was saying. He may have just shot at her, or it might not have been her at all, but it seemed that way. I'll be interested to see what other people think. He added one more bullet to the magazine. When Cyril Pons came by, Gerson ran around the other side of the tree, and then we heard him take his own life as far as we know. And the next big moment for me was ZZ Top's Sharp Dressed Man. I don't know why they chose this song, but I'm really happy that they did. And it wasn't a performance, it was just a volume meter with that song playing in the background. But it led right into the next big moment, which was Freddie Sykes unloaded with the green glove, and it is a devastating weapon. He put 2 guys in intensive care who were beating on James. It was kind of weird, the setup for that, but whatever. He ended up nearly killing them. After that, we went straight to the next big moment, which was... Well, actually, we had a small stop where we found out that there was a family that was Dougie Jones and his wife Jane that were not the correct people in the FBI. I wouldn't call that a moment. The next one was Chantel showing up and killing Duncan Todd and his assistant. And just in case we might not get the idea, or we might think this was the double header, on the way out she says 1 down, 1 to go, something along those lines. So we know that Dougie Coop is probably the next person on her list. We see that James and Freddie have been locked up, and it's starting to seem like everyone that's in the basement of the Twin Peaks Sheriff Department is going to be important. Won't get into it too much, but think about the combination of people you have down there, and the Chad is the odd man out, and I think that he has an equal importance probably because of that, but I don't have any good theories on how that goes. Like I mentioned, we did see the woodsman dribbling what looked like black liquid as well, so that could be a hint that the drunk is a woodsman, but I don't know. The next big moment was a sequence of moments, and they all had to do with Dougie Coop. As he was eating his chocolate cake, after having a pretty sweet little moment with Janie E., he started to shuffle things around, started to hit buttons, and then the TV turned on. He heard the name Gordon Cole on the TV, and he definitely looked like he jumped to an attention. We've had a lot of false alarms here, but I think this could be the one because he jumps into action. I don't know what else to call it. He crawls across the floor with his fork in hand. He hears a noise at the electrical outlet, which is what draws him there. He sticks a fork in it, and then, of course, we don't find out what happens in the aftermath, except for that he definitely got a jolt. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible that the next episode won't start with him in the doctor's office and the doctor says, Dougie, did you stick a fork in the electrical outlet? And he repeats the word outlet. But I think this is the closest and the best opportunity we have for him to wake up, and it's the right time as well. I kind of feel like in the last 2 episodes he'll be awake and back to normal. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Then the next heart-wrenching, both beautiful and just sad moment was with the log lady, Margaret Coulson. She calls Hawk on the phone, and it's just really an amazing scene. I mean, I can't really do it justice to explain it any better than it was. You should watch it again. I know I have watched it more than once. I was close to tears on the first watch, to be honest. I've talked about this before in other videos, but the fact that this is like a real thing, you know what I mean? She's close to death in real life when she shoots these scenes, and it was really just incredible. It was sad, but it was really well done at the same time. I really liked how Deputy Hawk just listened. He didn't say anything. He just let her talk. An interesting thing is in the credits, we've had a show that was dedicated to Catherine Coulson before, the actress. But I noticed on this one, in the credits, it was dedicated to Margaret, which is the log lady's name. So that was really cool. There was also the after scene here that was pretty interesting whenever Hawk calls them in and tells Andy and Lucy and Frank what happened. Kind of interesting that Frank was sitting there in the dark looking at images of fish. But yeah, that was just a really cool tribute to her. Audrey is still trapped inside of something. That's the best way I can describe it. This time Charlie's ready to leave, but she can't get herself to put her coat on. And she's trapped. I don't know. She's trapped for sure. There's something going on. Is she in a coma? Is she having a nightmare? I have no idea. But something's not right. At the end, she does start choking Charlie, which I don't know if that's going to have any effect on her situation or not. But yeah, she choked him out, or she was choking in the process of choking him. And the final big moment was the Roadhouse scene this time was kind of interesting. Two big biker guys come in and the girl is sitting at the table really paying attention to the band and think it's going to be a thing, but they just grab her and put her on the floor and she doesn't even really react to it. At the end though, she starts to scream, and that was a big moment, I think, because even though we didn't figure out what was going on there, it kind of felt like a mirror of something else almost, and I don't know. It felt important to me. But let me know what you guys think. I thought it was a great episode. I felt a little bit like, shit, it's coming to an end. But it was good to find out what's going on with the Phillip Jeffries character. I think Dougie Coop will be back to his old self in the next episode, but I can't be sure. And Norma and Ed, man, that was a big one. They got together. Let's hope that nothing bad happens. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Turn on notifications so you know when I upload new videos. Follow me on Twitter, interact with me over there, or Instagram, or like my Facebook page. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon.